and understanding this relationship. Now, when you look in your book, okay, at the different options or problems that you're going to encounter. So go ahead and turn to the homework section right now. Okay? Go ahead and turn to the homework section. You're going to see that they're going to want you to, they might give you a percent, and they want you to write it as a fraction. They're going to give you decimals, they're going to want you to write them as percents. They're going to give you, what's the other thing? Fraction, or percents, and they're going to want you to write them as fractions and decimals. So I'm going to start with some of the simpler ones and go through the basics. The first thing we need to understand is how do we write percents as fractions? Especially some of the weird percents, okay? Some of like the 37s and whatnot. How do we write those as fractions? Well, there's a couple, it's real easy. There's a couple of simple rules to follow, okay? Let's start with 37%, okay? What a wonderful prime number it is. When you are working with the percent, what is the number that percents are always out of? Okay? It would be the final whole, if you had everything.
Me.
PM.
100.
Yes.
And me.
Yeah. 100% is the total. Okay? Is the whole. So, if you recall from our lesson prior, I was talking about percents as being parts over wholes. This idea comes back again and again and again. Okay? Doesn't go away. When you're working with a whole is always going to be like 100%. I'm here 100% today. Well, that's good. That means all of me is here. If I was only here 50%, that might mean I'm missing a leg or an arm or something. Okay? That wouldn't be good. If I'm here 100%, that means all of me is here. Everything, the whole. Okay? If I got paid 100% of my income, that means I got paid a full check. If I only got paid 80% of my income, I'd be asking, where's the other 20%? Right? Because 100% is the total. So when you have a percent, you're looking at the part. 37 is only part of it. Okay? To write this as a fraction, it literally becomes 37 over the whole 100. That's as simple as it gets. Every percent can be written as a number over 100. It's always over 100.
What if it's over
Yeah.
1,000?
They told you to write 37% as a decimal. Would you do what you told us to do on Tuesday?
Okay, yeah, we're going to get there. But I'm going to show you how this easily converts into a decimal. Okay? How it easily converts into a decimal. So 37% is 37 over 100. What do you think about 28%? What would that one be? Yeah.
28 over 100.
Yeah, 28 over 100.
Wow.
Now, your book is going to get all tricky-do-da-day, and they're going to say, hey,
Why do they have to be like that?
what about the whole simplifying thing?
No.
If it can be simplified, you should simplify. Can this be simplified?
Yes. No.
Yeah, it can. I see that ends in 8 and 100. Right off the bat, my mind says, what can go into it? Yeah.
2.
2. Yeah, that's what I would have thought first, too. So I'm going to start with that. And I might have to do this multiple times. But I'm going to divide top and bottom by 2. 28 divided by 2. Anyone? Anyone? Yeah?
It is 14.
It is 14. That is very good. So it's 14.
Yeah.
And 100 divided by 2 is
50.
50. Okay. Well, that's definitely simpler than it was, but is it simplified to the... Can I go simpler?
Yeah.
I can. And I can go in top and bottom again.
It's 7 and 25.
Okay, so I can actually do 2 again, and yes, you're right. Like when I do that, it's 7 over 25. That is as simple as it gets.
Yes.
28 over 100 and 7 over 25. Now do something for me on your calculators real quick. Take 28 and divide it by 100. Okay, what do you get?
0.2.
Yup.
I got 7 over 25.
Okay. Take 7, divide it by 25.
I already got it.
And Parker, what do you end up with?
7 over 625.
No, take 7 and divide it by 25 on your calculator. So,
I know no one else get it. I want to be me.
okay, Parker.
It's 25.
It's not. But
I just wanted to say 25.
oh man. What do we get as a decimal? Yes.
0.28.
Yep.
I was so close.
No, you weren't.
Okay, now I want you to see something here.
Wait, what?
Miss Walker, this is especially interesting, okay?
What?
I really like this. I can take 28 and divide it by 100, and I get this value, okay?
Wait, then that means it's
Hang on.
percent, so it's 28%.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Wow,
Bang,
you're so
bang.
smart.
I take 7 and, okay, I take 7 and I divide it by 25, and I also get 0.28. So 28 is 28% of 100. 7 is 28% of 25. So they have the exact same value. Okay, and this gets us back to, Gabby, especially that whole idea of equivalent fractions, right? So when you're writing a percent, as a fraction, it's always over 100. But the key takeaway here is you should simplify it if you can. Okay? So we have percents, we have fractions, and how do you find the decimals? How do you find them? Yeah.
You do the top at the bottom.
Yeah.
You
You
divide
take the top
and
number.
the bottom times 100, and then you get, so 14 divided by 50 times 100 would be 28%.
Right. Or if you're looking for just the decimal, you can stop at 14 divided by 50.
Okay.
Now, the other trick here, and this is what I love, if it's written over 100, then it's literally, see how 28 over 100 just becomes 0.28? Here's why that is. 0.28 goes not to the tenths place, but to the what? Hundredths place. So if I had to turn the decimal into a fraction, we did this the first week of school. I know it's a long time ago. But on the first week of school, we converted decimals into fractions by saying 28 is 28 over 100
Wait, are you serious?
because it goes to the hundredths place. Okay? So this is kind of all how it comes together. All right, I'm going to do one more example here. And then I think for the most part you guys have probably figured this out.
Already?
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. I'm going to actually do 2 more examples actually, because I want to work one way and then the other. 63%. How do I write it as a decimal? Savannah.
0.63.
0.63. Okay? How do I write it as a fraction? Yeah.
63 over 100.
63 over 100. That cannot be simplified. I'm done.
That is crazy cheese right there.
Okay?
Cheese?
I'm done.
Cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese right here.
Isabel.
What if to write it as a decimal, what if it was 7? Would it be 0.007 or 0.07? No. No, sorry.
Oh.
So if it was 7%, would it be 0.7 or 0.07?
It would be 0.07.
Okay.
Okay, but actually we're going to look at those kinds of problems more so tomorrow. Hang on one second. Let me go do one more here. What about 6 over 20? Okay, I know that's not the simplest version of that fraction. The easiest thing to do here would be to convert it into a decimal first. Okay, so what would you do?
I would actually do 20 times 5 and mix it 100.
Oh, stop. Oh, that's great. Let's do that. She said, let's do this. Since I know I need the bottom to be 100, that's the easiest. If I multiply the bottom and top by 5,
Symbol.
you're right, I don't want to divide.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, you don't.
Yes,
you do.
What is, Miss Nixon, what is 20 times 5? Yeah.
But why couldn't you divide? Well, not by 5, but why couldn't you divide?
I'm going to show you why Savannah's taking this approach. It's a great approach. She multiplied by 5, but what I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. 6 times 5 is 30. So what percent is this? 30%. And what decimal would it be? Yeah. 0.30. So I have the fraction here and here, the percent, and the decimal. Here's what Savannah did, and I just want to walk you through how brilliant this is. She said, I know 20 goes into 100 5 times. And if I can get the denominator to be 100, that makes this whole process here so much easier. Okay? So what she did, she said, if I multiply this by 5, and what I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. It's the golden rule of fractions. Then I can get this fraction, which is an equivalent fraction. We've kind of gone through equivalent fractions. And so then that's easily turned into 30%, which is then easily turned into 0.30. Miss Lixon?
But you want it when if you're putting the simplest fraction, that wouldn't be 30 over 100.
If the problem is asking you to convert a fraction into percents or decimals, they're not asking for the simplest fraction. So in that particular case, it's okay to multiply.
Oh, so if it doesn't say simplify, you can do it like
Right. Exactly. Very good point. Hannah.
Well, I was just looked ahead and looked at some of the problems on our homework, and there's a decimal with like 3.
Oh, let's do it.
375. How would you do that?
That's a great question, except I'm not going to use that exact one. All right? So she says, what if I see 0.463? Okay, here's how this works. All right? If I want to convert this into a fraction, that's the direct, or a percent, okay? This is what I would do. I would say, if I wanted to, this is the same thing as 46.3%. Anytime you have a decimal version of a percent, if you multiply it by 100, it turns into a percent. If you recall from our first lesson, which was Tuesday, I said take the part, divide it by the whole, and multiply by 100. What you're doing when you do that is you're finding the decimal here, and then you're multiplying that decimal by 100 to get the percent. If you have the decimal version, you can multiply it by 100, and that'll give you the percent. By multiplying it by 100, you're really moving that decimal, not how many places? I mean, not 1, but 2. Fantastic. So 0.463 is 46.3%. If every percent can be written as a fraction, it would be 46.3 over 100. So I've taken the decimal, I turned it into a percent, and then I wrote it over 100 to get the fraction. Yes?
How'd you get the 5 and the 6 over 20 brought to you by Parker?
This one?
Yeah.
I had 6 over 20, and I multiplied top and bottom by 5.
Okay.
6 times 5 is 30. 20 times 5 is 100. And I can do that so long as I multiply top and bottom by the same number. Okay?
But does one of them have to go into each other? Does one, like, because 5
No.
is over 20.
Nope.
But you can divide it by any number.
I can multiply it by any number.
So
Yes.
so you could have multiplied it by, let's say, 5. No.
I did multiply by 5.
Let's say 6.
I could have, but the goal was to get the bottom to equal 100. So that's why we chose 5.
Okay. So if
It's about, go ahead.
So if it was 5. It's 25 and 4.
Right, exactly.
Okay, but anyways, so my question was for 6 over 20, could you also just have done 6 divided by 20 times 100 and got
6 divided by 20
and then gotten
times 1.
36?
Yes, yes, that would have given you the exact same thing. The other option, too, is if you would have simplified this the other way, you would have seen it was 3 over 10. Which is, and some of you may have seen that as 30% as well. There was a lot of ways to do this. I totally think that the way we did it, that Savannah showed us, was a great way to do it. It's a good habit, it's a good skill to see the multiplication here. I think it was great. Let's do another one like Hannah's, because I think that this idea is hard, okay? Let's do 0.375. I think that's a good one, okay? So, using the same idea, this is, in essence, the part divided by the whole. It's just in decimal form. I could multiply it by what number to turn it into a percent? Hannah? I can multiply it by 100. Oh, yeah. Double zeros, great number. And that equals what?
500.
37.5.
37.5. So that's the percent version. Notice we're really just moving the decimal. And I can write every percent as a fraction if I write it over 100. So 37.5 divided by 100 works. Yeah, and for these kinds of problems, this is how far I'd want you to take it. Okay? So, just so you know. Izzy.
Sorry. So, would you have to write 0.375 times 100, or could you just automatically write 37.5 because you know you have to move the decimals?
You could automatically write 37.5 if you know in your head what you're doing.
Would that work for all of them, or is there like...
Every decimal version of a percent, when multiplied by 100, gives you the percent. There's actually a percent key on your calculator. Okay, let's all find that right now. So I'm going to show you, because that automatically does the times 100. And I'll show you why, and I'll show you how it
Mine
does it.
automatically comes up with percent. I have it same.
So, calculator. Okay, if you have your calculator, I want you to put 0.375 in there. Now, the percent key is not always easy to find. Last but not least, look ahead at your homework. Look ahead.
What is it for?
Well, just look at where the page of where all the homework problems would come from.
I just love school.
I hate school.
That's great. Look ahead. Is there any types of problems listed there that don't necessarily fit what we've talked about today? Isabella? They either ask for the decimal version, the percent version, the fractional version.
Well, yes and no. For number 12,
Okay?
would you just keep it at 19.1?
Well, you need to write that as a decimal.
Oh,
So what would you do?
it's already...
No, there's a decimal in it, but it's in percent form. What would you do to make it into just a decimal?
You move the decimal one place then.
Not one place, but two places. So what would you say that one would be?
190. 191.
Okay?
No, 0.191.
0.191. Very good. Okay, and Ms. Lixon?
Okay, for a number like 27 through 29, would you just have to convert them all to the same thing?
Order from least to greatest. Yeah, that's a great point. So you'd want them all to either be in percent form.
What would
Fraction.
be best?
I would say if you're trying to order them, having them all in the percent form would be by far the easiest. Because then you'll know which is the largest percent, which is the least percent. Fractions, you've got that whole pesky common denominator thing to worry about. Okay? Any other questions?